Hey guys, welcome back to Unpacking Real Estate. It is Monday, April the 1st. So I know this is like nationally known as April Fool's Day, but we are really here to give you great information, and it's not a joke. Wait a minute, I feel like I need a little bit more light in here. It's kind of dark. My husband says I always have it like super bright in here, like I'm trying to radiate myself. But today on today's show, we are going to discuss financing. We have Constance Craig coming in. I'm super excited to hear her talk and share with us information on how to get our money right. I think it's super important. And like I said, she's super awesome. Hey, Constance. Let me invite you in. Constance is coming. Yay. So like I said, this week on hey Constance.
Hey,
How are you?
I'm great.
You all glamorified?
Not really. I'm trying to figure out how to get this phone to cooperate. Hold on.
Okay. Always.
Okay.
Hey Reggie, how are you? So Constance is with us today, and we are jumping off Financial Literacy Month to discuss different avenues that we as a people can take to get ourselves in order for, my business is home buying and purchasing and selling. So I like people to be on track with that. But I also realize that there are a lot of other facets of the life that we don't get on top of as far as being prepared to retire, being prepared to buy vacations, being prepared to go on vacations. It's like this thing. And then our savings is not intact as well. So I consider it a plus when we get to meet people like you, who this is what you specialize in, helping us get on the right track.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
No. So if you could tell the audience about what brought you into this business and what it is you actually do, that'd be awesome.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I will say a lot of what I talk about as far as my background is the fact that, I didn't come from a family of privilege. We actually struggled. We were in poverty. And when I became a young mother, I found myself in the same situation as what my mom was in, basically making the best of the ends that you have. And because I was young and I didn't really know what career I wanted yet, I was just kind of working just regular jobs, to pay my bills and take care of my children. Yeah. And so because all of the basic money matters, I had to literally Google or, get decline letters and find out the hard way. I started taking those decline letters and actually researching. Sorry about that. My phone is going here. But as I was getting decline letters and I'm young and I don't really have a lot of income, and I'm a single parent, I'm just really trying to figure out how I could get a yes, whatever that was, whether it was for a car or a bank account or a credit card, whatever. I would take those decline letters and read what it said. And a lot of times it would give you direction. It would say, maybe too many inquiries on your bureau, or you have collections, or whatever it would say. And so when I would get income, I would then start paying on things. I would start trying to create a profile that these lenders were looking for. And so I want to say I started telling people everything that I was learning as I was learning it. I was excited about the shift that was happening in my life. And I was telling family, friends, and everybody. And a girlfriend of mine was like, look, you do this, you tell everybody, you're out here trying to help, you can actually make an income from educating people. And I'm like, I'm not looking to earn money. I'm just, trying to share the information. And it literally took almost 7 years of her chasing me and telling me, hey, I think you would be great for this. You should really do it. To actually get involved. And so at the time I had come through, I started in healthcare. So I started as like a temp working in hospitals and clinics and things like that. So I did that more like administrative secretary, medical secretary, worked my way all the way up to practice manager. And so at the time that I got into financial services, I was a practice manager. And so I was doing financial services in the evening from like 6 to 9, but I was working like 8:30 to 5. So I had a very long day, but I was very, very excited about the shift that was happening for me. And I wanted to make sure that people in my community had that same type of shift. So I knew if there was a lot of basic money matters that I didn't know, I knew that there were people just like me who didn't know those same things. So I ended up getting involved, pretty much like part-time in the evenings, got licensed in 2 weeks of, getting introduced to the opportunity. And I was revved up, ready to go. And that was in January of 2009. And I have not turned back since. I had, during the course of doing financial services, I also developed a business consulting company of my own. So I was running two businesses at the same time. And what I knew was, again, with business, I knew that there were a lot of people who didn't know how to start the business, didn't know what paperwork to file, didn't know how to open a bank account, what was business credit. And so as I was learning those things for myself, again, I'm telling other people about it. And so that's kind of the gist of how I got into it. It wasn't something that, I thought about in school, oh, I'm going to go in this field. No, it literally came out of my own hardships and me being passionate about changing my own life, the people that I love, the people that were around me. I could see the change happening, and I just wanted to do more and more of that.
That's usually what starts us in our passion.
Yes. Yes.
Opposed to our careers, our passions are where it resonates with us, and we want to share it with everybody.
Absolutely.
So we get excited, and everybody gets excited around us, and it's always a beautiful thing to see.
Yes.
So my first question would be to you, of course, in the home buying business. I always want people to have a plan on how they can purchase a home.
Okay.
So what should be the focus financially when renting to make the transition to home ownership? What should people say? You know what? Because I can tell you from examples of people I've had conversations with, making the jump from renting to owning is that hard shift, because I've heard people say, oh, well, I called my management company and I've got 2 months left. And if I don't find a home in that time, I need to go month to month. And now they're telling me that my rent is going to go up $300, $400, $500. And most people don't have that in their budget anyway.
Yeah.
So the next thing you know, they get that and they get that conversation and they're like, well, I can't do month to month, so I have to sign a whole nother lease.
Yes. Yes.
So it's like, what recommendations do you have for people to make that jump when it's such a large purchase sometimes, and sometimes people don't qualify for grants? What would you advise them to do?
Well, planning is everything, and when you were talking about the whole rent situation, a lot of times we know that we either don't want to continue to rent at that place or we don't want to continue to rent at all. So this is not all of a sudden I want to buy a house. More than likely you knew, right? You knew you didn't want to be there, or you knew you didn't want to continue to do this. So with that being said, I just recommend planning, right? And when I say planning, that means that you have to literally sit down, look at your expenses, look at your income. So literally what I'm saying is you need to know how much cash flow you have. Okay. Yeah. Some people have heard of cash flow in the aspect of a business, running a business, right? Cash flow is going to help you to expand the business, that kind of thing. But it also will help you to know in your personal life, if you have goals, which could be a project, a business, home ownership, buying a new car, whatever. So then your cash flow is going to indicate how quickly you can do that and if you can do it at all. So when you're looking at your regular monthly expenses, which should include some of your debts, right? You're literally going to look at, I always tell my clients to look at their last 3 months. So that would give them a trend of what they typically spend, right? So you can look at, your bank accounts, your credit card statements. That's going to let you know your fixed expenses, which are typically rent, stabilized items that aren't really going to change. So you want to itemize those, and then you want to look at the things that may fluctuate from time to time. So it could be like your gas for your vehicle. Sometimes utilities fluctuate a little bit. Sometimes a phone bill, But on a 3-month period, you can kind of see a trend there, and you can average it out. So when you put all of that down against what you actually have coming in, which would be your net pay, we're talking about net pay. What is left over reflects the cash flow. So the cash flow, if it is negative, if it is short, then that means you do not have enough coming in for what you typically have going out. And that is real for some people, right? If that is the case, then I recommend either, with that same analysis that you just did, look at the expenses to see if there are any that you can cut back on, right? I'm not saying eliminate a lot of things, because when you're thinking about tracking your expenses and income, a lot of people feel like, oh, you're talking about a budget. And I hate a budget, right? I cringe when I hear that word. And so, I mean, it's almost like diet, right? People cringe at that word too. So what I tell them to do is think about it as your spending plan. You're going to spend money. It's just how effectively can I do that? I want to save money. How effectively can I do that? How consistent can I be? So when I'm saying look at your expenses, you know, even myself, you know, I like cable, right? I like to watch ratchet TV sometimes. So I need to know if there are certain channels that I specifically like. I'm not saying I'm going to cut it out altogether. I'm just saying, can I go from a 350 channel package to maybe a 175? I still can see the same things that I want to see without paying that much money. So that's what I mean by looking at seeing where you could cut back. Because again, if that extra $50 a month could go towards your savings, right, that you thought I can't save, I don't have it, I only make a certain amount. Just look at what you're already doing and find the money. It's probably in there. So that's what I would say. If the person is coming up red, they don't have enough coming in, you know, first look there, right? Look for things that you can adjust, basically. The other thing would be getting some extra income. You know what I'm saying? It might be a situation where you work part-time somewhere, work from home somewhere, you know, turn a hobby into a business, right? Some way that you can get extra money in there. It may be a time where if you're looking forward to getting large tax returns, that you can go back to your HR people and adjust your withholdings. So now you're bringing a little more home, because if you're going to get a $4,000 or $5,000 return, that doesn't help me for right now, right? I need some more paycheck money right now. So if I go and adjust my withholdings, not to the point where I'm going to owe, but to the point where I can bring an extra 50, 60, 100 per pay, that also can assist you with your cash flow, right? So there's things that you can do to try and see, okay, I have an extra $400 left over at the end of the month. What do I do with that, right? What do I do with that cash flow? So if it's the next thing you want to look at is your credit, okay? So you can't buy a house without them assessing your credit score if you need to finance that purchase, right? If you've got money like that and you could just go throw it down on a condo, you know, let me know, okay? But if you need to finance, then you're going to want to pull your bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. When you pull them, now, what you see, the score you see is different than what the lenders pull. We know that. But it's not going to be that much different. It may be slightly different, but not that much different. The reason why you want to look at that is because you want to get a gist of where you lie. If you're in the 4s, 5s, low 6s, you might need to do some work, okay? And where do I start with that? You know what I mean? I only have a certain amount of money, and I try to pay these people on time, but now it looks like I got to get out of here in 12 months. And how am I going to get this score up to at least 640, 620, something like that? And again, pull it up. You know, if you don't know how to read it, get with somebody who can help you read it. What you basically want to do is utilize the open accounts and get them as paid as agreed. If you can get them paid as agreed, you're on track, right? If you have credit cards, you want that credit balance to not be more than 30% of your limit, okay? Because if it goes even 31% of the limit, the score instantly drops. So I tell a lot of my clients, if you got 2 or 3 credit cards and you're like, I can't pay them all off in that amount of time, you don't have to pay them all off. What you need to do is pull them all up and see, okay, this one is $1,000 limit. This is a $500 limit. This is $250. Multiply 0.3. That's going to give you 30% of that limit. And then you're going to see, okay, $300 for my $1,000 card. That's where I should be, or less. Okay, if you're at $450, then you know, okay, let me pay $150 so I can get to that 30%. That's going to give you an automatic jump the next time that creditor reports to the bureau. You want that 7 points. You want that 10 points, whatever it's going to be, because that could be the difference between approval and non-approval, right? So you want to pull that credit and see, what can I actually do within the next couple of months to pay these things down strategically? Because again, you don't have to pay everything off. Even if you have small collection items, right? Things that are like $100 or less. First of all, they're not affecting your score if it's $100 or less. The small medical bills are not affecting your score. Now, when you meet with the lender, do they want you to pay it off or do they not? Again, if you could pay it off and it's a small amount, do it. But if it's a larger amount, you know, a couple $1,000s, all they want to know is, can you afford those in addition to this mortgage, in addition to these minimal payments? And when we factor all that in, there's a percentage that we can't allow you to go over, right? So if you say, man, I owe this $5,000, I'm not going to be able to pay that off in 12 months. then just call the company, make a minimum arrangement with them. And then when your lender asks you, hey, what are you paying each month? You can include that minimum and with your other minimums, because that's all they're going to use. And when they factor out your percentage, I think it's like 45%, 50%, whatever, they're going to say, oh, you're within a certain range. We can work with this, right?
Definitely.
So you got the cash flow, you saving money, you got your credit score in the range that they're looking for, right? Now they're going to tell you how much you can afford. You don't have to use that max, okay? I know you want the $350,000 home, but you don't have to go to the max, okay? Because again, it's going to come down to payment at the end of the day. So you don't want to go from a $1,200 rent to a $2,500 mortgage. You don't want to do that. That's a shock right there to your system.
That is a shocker.
Right? So what you want to do is stay in the same range so you can have the same standard of living, but now you're working towards home ownership versus just paying the rent for the landlord, okay? So I always tell my clients, start tracking your income, your expenses, your credit, start saving, because again, in your line of work, you know that they're going to have that earnest money deposit when they do find that house. They're not even going to go shopping until they got a pre-approval letter. And so you got the pre-approval. Now you're looking at a house that's in your budget. You know, you're able to see, okay, yeah, I like this. It's in the school district, and that's all the fun stuff, right? Just,
that's all the fun part, yeah.
Yeah, I want this color walls and granite, all that's fun stuff. But if you did not track, so you can even get to this point, then you're going to be frustrated. So I always tell people, make realistic goals. Sit down with someone to help you be accountable for what you say you want to do, like a financial coach, and people like that. And even if like meet with a real estate agent or a loan officer, and let's say they're not ready, right? The score is not where it needs to be. You know, the place that they want to move to doesn't have any, homeowner properties up right now. You can still plan. You know, you can say, oh, I want to live in Roland Park. Okay, there's no homes over there right now for what I want to do, but that just gives you time. You know what I'm saying? It's not unless, God forbid, there's an eviction or something like that going on. And even with that situation, you're still not ready. You know, you're not ready because you're coming out of a hardship. Okay. So I always tell my clients, you know, planning is key. Financial literacy is key. You know, some people have never heard of cash flow before, but that is going to let you know how ready you are for whatever your next level is, whether it's upgrading to your next vehicle, whether it is, you know, even doing some work on the house. You need cash flow at the end of the day. And you can't just say, well, I don't know. You've got to figure it out.
Gotcha. So my second question would be for retirement plans.
Okay.
What do you generally tell people? Is it more like the cash flow, or is it just this is going to be your salary now and go from there?
Yeah, it's slightly different. It's still a strategy. So it used to be like they call it the three-legged stool as to how people could retire. So you would be looking forward to your Social Security. You'd be looking forward to a pension from a company that you've been working for. And you're going to be looking at your savings. It's like those three prongs is what typically allows you to retire. Now, we do know that Social Security may or may not be available for a lot of us when we get to those ages, somewhere between 65 and 70, somewhere in there. It may or may not be available, and I'm about to turn 40, and I'm not relying upon it. But if it's there, great. If it's not, I'm going to do what I have to do to prepare myself. The other thing is the pension. Now, a lot of companies aren't necessarily offering pensions anymore because you got to think about it. What is a pension? So they're putting money away for you as you've been working for them, right? So that at the end of the road, when you're ready to retire, you can get a stream of income from that company without ever showing up to punch a clock again. Think about it. When you show up to punch a clock, you're doing something that's allowing this company to earn income, right? So you're showing up 9 to 5, you're doing customer service or whatever you're doing. So they don't mind paying you a portion of what they get because they know that you're contributing to their income. Now, if they got to pay you $30,000 a year until you pass away, what is that? That's a debt to them, okay? So they're like, look, I can afford to do certain things while you're still working and helping me generate this income. But when you go to retire, I've got to commit $30,000 a year to somebody who's not helping me earn anything anymore. So a lot of these companies cannot afford to offer you a pension. What they'll say is, oh, we'll bring in someone and you can set up a 401k plan if you so choose. So if you don't choose, then that means that you haven't situated yourself down the line to have a stream of income coming in. They leave it up to you nowadays. You know what I'm saying? If you do not do it, or if you delay, or if you started and stop, started and stop, take out 401k loans, all type of stuff, then you're further delaying your financial independence. So we don't know if Social Security is going to be there. A lot of companies can't afford pensions anymore. They offer you the option to set up your own 401k. They don't even really match much anymore.
No.
So if they do match, that's a blessing because that's like free money.
Yes.
But if you don't even sign the paperwork and do anything, I'll get to it. Open enrollment comes again. Like, come on, when are we going to get started, right? And then the other thing to that three-legged stool is your savings. So if you're not able to save for emergencies, are you really able to save for long-term retirement?
Gotcha.
You get what I'm saying? There's levels to our habits. There's levels to shifting our behavior. And so if we begin to shift it on a smaller scale, which is thinking about it, emergency account, emergency fund. So that's typically 3 to 6 months of your expenses, not 3 to 6 months of your income. We'd like to think that there's a difference between the two, because that means we're not paycheck to paycheck if we got something left over, right? So if we bring in 5,000 and our expenses are 3,000, then you need to have 3,000 times 3 months, which is $9,000. Most people don't have that in there. I'm just using those numbers as an example, but most of us don't have that just lying around. Now, the Consumer Protection Financial Bureau or something like that, they say that you're in a hardship situation, or I want to say financially fragile, if you can't lay your hands on $2,000 of cash money in an emergency, an unexpected emergency. That lets them know that you're fragile. Okay. Gotcha. So $2,000 may or may not be 3 to 6 months of your expenses, but it is a barometer for whether or not you're fragile as it relates to an emergency. So what I do with my clients, a lot of times I'll go through a spending plan with them. I'll also look at how they think about money. A lot of us will have times where we want to emotionally spend, or just like people can emotionally eat. There's such a thing as emotionally spending too. And so what your bank statements will do is it will reflect not only your fixed expenses, but those emotional purchases and things like that. So what I try to do is I work with them on those things, identifying where the money's going, because I cannot tell you how many people say, I don't know where it goes. I don't have any idea. And I'm like, we're going to find out because we cannot plan unless we know what's happening. And if I don't dig in or you don't dig in, you're going to just keep repeating the same cycle over and over again, right? And so with retirement, you want to actually have about 70 to 80% of what you are bringing in, you want to still have that in retirement. Why? Because the idea is if I'm going to retire, my expenses should be a little bit less than it is when I'm younger and I have younger kids and things like that. And my debt should be significantly less or paid off. So I don't need as much as I was living off of in my 30s, 40s, 50s, because I took care of what I had to take care of, right? Gotcha. Financial independence is how quickly can I get to that number? How quickly can I get out of debt so that I can retire early if I want to? That's actually a concept called FIRE. It's financial independence, retire early. So how quickly can I amass the amount of money that I need and pay off the amount of debts that, I need to so that I can be independent. So, yeah.
Gotcha. I know I was following Dave Ramsey for a little while, and there was a notebook. And you had this little notebook that you carried everywhere, and every time you spent $1, you had to write it down.
Right.
And I felt like I was like, "Are you kidding me? Like, what in the world does my day consist of?"
Exactly. That's a lot.
Everything you did, everything. It was mind-boggling to even see it in paper.
Yes.
And it was a great tool. And of course, they did the envelopes for a little while.
So many different ways to do it. What I recommend is doing something that's fun. Even if you're just getting started with your emergency account, I have like a little, it's kind of like a little quick sheet of 52 weeks of savings. It's not like the typical one that you've seen on social media, but basically it allows you to pick, if you get paid weekly or bi-weekly, however, you can actually pick certain amounts that you want to save. It might be $3 that week or $17 the next or whatever, but you're in control of it. But by the end, you will have $1,000. So again, can you race to that $1,000? Can you hurry up and get there, or do you just want to slow pace it? You know, every 2 weeks I'm gonna check off 2 of these, and it's gonna be affordable because maybe you got a bonus that 2 weeks.
That's a cool way to do it. That's a cool way to do it. I think she froze up on us. We'll see. She should be back soon. I hope. This was a great conversation. I really want her to come back. Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully, Constance's phone will unfreeze, but if you have questions, answer for you. We've got a couple more minutes in the segment. Oh, we lost her altogether. Oh no, that was unfortunate because we were sharing some great content. She was definitely sharing some great content. Hey, Cherie. Hey, Tika. Since you guys are the ones that spoke, how are you? Everybody else took a wave, but you two were growing the pots. Needed more. But I appreciate you all guys for tuning in every night for Unpacking Real Estate. Being that Tika was our first guest, it was super awesome. So, like I said, tonight we have Constance Craig Mason, and we want to get her back on so we can share her information. She was giving us some great tips on how to prepare for purchasing a home, how to get ready for retirement, the steps that we should, different tools and tips to help us plan and plot how we can get our money right to make these moves. And it's definitely an adjustment shift. One of the agents in my office tonight just posted that she just got to an 811 credit score, and she's like, and I understand her excitement in that aspect, because when you come from a certain level and you were trying to struggle to get out, and it took a while, and you just kind of think it's not ever going to happen, to be able to put a plan together. And this is what tonight was really about: financial literacy, putting a plan together and committing to that thing. Because once you get inspired to purchase a home, I've had this conversation a couple of times today with different clients, and being right there on the cusp is so emotional. It's so exciting. You want it to happen, and you really want it to be that dream, because that is the ultimate American dream, is to own a home. To get to that level, and there may be a couple bumps in the road, or you find out that there's more possibility than you ever could have dreamed of. I think it's super exciting, and I know that's part of why this business excites me to the point where I get those clear to close phone calls. When I get those, I cannot believe I'm in my home. I cannot believe I can actually do this kind of text messages, phone calls, and of course I get the anxiety written phone calls as well when things go a little bumpy. But our job is to get together, fix them, and once everyone on board is committed and really in love with the process and in love, let's invite her back in. There she is. So we're adding her. But once everybody gets involved and gets committed to purchasing, hey, I was filling in your time, but I was just speaking on the goals, and how, really writing down strategic plans is a goal changer, a game changer. We just had a young lady post on Facebook a minute ago that she just got her credit score up into the 800s.
Wow.
And she said it took her a couple of years, and she did have some setbacks, but she just committed. And I was just telling them, it is a thing in this business where we meet people and that thing has happened. And they're like, you know what? I'm buying a house. I am committing myself to this, and it's going to happen. And it's that mindset kind of shifts you. And when you write that plan down that you provide with people, here's your plan. Now what are we going to do? They get engaged. And you see those serious people. You see when the seriousness comes out, when they get engaged. Absolutely. And they're like, you know what? This is about to happen. Yeah. And it's so exciting.
It is so exciting. It's very exciting when you can tell someone what your goals are, and then they can rally behind you, and you can do it as a team. That's why, off topic, one of the reasons why I do those panels that I do, Financial Dream Team, is because I know that in my profession I do a certain thing, but then there's other professionals who take it from there, like real estate agents and loan officers and attorneys and accountants and all these people. But even if you don't have a lot of money, you still need a team so that when you do come across that situation, you know exactly who to go to. You've already built a rapport with them. You know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
so they're available for you. More than likely, they're experienced and resourceful, so that they can refer you out to people that they know and trust and that kind of thing. So when you have a team, like, you can't fail. Like, unless you just give up on yourself and don't want to do it, you will not fail.
The thing I hear the most sometimes when people are searching for a home or trying to do something out of the box, start a business or something to that effect, the thing I hear the most is, it's funny, I didn't tell my family I was doing this, because they know the naysayers are very close sometimes. And they're like, I didn't tell anybody. I'm not telling anybody till I get keys in my hand, because I don't want to hear that negative. And they probably experienced it. So they're like, nope, not this time. I'm going to get this done. And when it happens, no one can say, oh, girl, I knew you was going to do it, when you knew they weren't really in your corner. So getting a whole team of people, I love the way you said, getting a whole team of people to help push you to those goals, getting where you, and then I think associating ourselves with the people who are of the like mind, who are possibly in the same position as you, but are on that positive path, that we're going to get with some people. We're going to go meet with Constance, we're going to sit down, we're going to have a conversation, and we're going to get ourselves in this new position.
Always
so
better together.
That's so important. So, we talked about home ownership. We talked about retirement. Now we have a new breed of people, the entrepreneurs. That I want to start a business.
Yes.
What would be the first 3 things that you would tell them that they need to do to say, okay, you can be an entrepreneur? Besides passion and excitement.
It is exactly the same thing I tell people who have personal goals. It's going to start with that cash flow. I actually wrote an article with, I think the magazine is called Black Men and Women of Color. I did a blog or like an article in January about that. And it came down to cash flow, because again, a lot of people think that they have to look at their personal and their business separate. They're not mutually exclusive, because it comes down to whether or not you can actually track and run your home like the CFO that you are. And so before you even think about being an entrepreneur, because think about it, in the beginning, regardless of what type of business that you intend on doing, more than likely you are everybody in that business. You're the CEO, the CFO, the marketing, accounts payable person, like you're the customer service rep, you're everything, right? And that doesn't mean you know how to be everything. You just know that you have this awesome idea or product or service and you want to get out there and do it. But if you don't have the money and you don't have the credit, it's going to be very difficult, right? And the other thing is, a lot of people think that business credit is easy. It is a process with business credit. And a lot of times you already have to have some things established. First 5 years, you are the guarantor for your business. So if you go to apply for something and they say, oh yeah, you can get a business credit card, and they ask for your social, you're the guarantor. They will ask for your EIN number, but if they're also asking for your social, you're the guarantor. So if you knew you couldn't get a personal credit card, how you gonna get a business credit card? It's the same social, is it not? And the thing about it is, business credit is really about the DUNS number, the DUNS number. And DUNS isn't very easy to establish either, because at the end of the day, they want you to have trade lines, right? So it could be an account that you have at Staples or something, you know, Office Depot or someplace like that. But even they want to see income, you know, expenses and all that kind of thing. So it's not really that easy to build your DUNS number up to a point where it's going to be a decent number as well. It's very similar to building your personal social from nothing. So until you can even do that, you got to have your cash flow together. Because if you do need to start that Staples account or any type of business account, then more than likely you're going to start it off. You're going to be paying income into it. You're going to be swiping that card. You're going to do it on a personal level, because you need to have a few months of consistency with how you spend and paying it, and how you spend and paying it, right? So I tell my clients, I don't care if it's a service or a product that you're trying to do, a nonprofit, doesn't matter. If you are not good with your personal finances, you're going to be equally, if not more, frustrated when you're trying to do everything in your business. Now, it's not to discourage you, but it's just to say, if I know I want to do that business, I'm giving myself a window of time to save some money, improve my credit, and also research my business, right? I want to research the industry, who my competitors are, what makes me stand out and be different than the next Joe out here doing the same thing. And so you're not just saving money and just sitting there. You're doing the work. You're researching, right? If you need an office space or if you're going to convert a portion of your home, you can get that done, right? Keep your receipts, you know, get your business account together, get your EIN. You can do things that don't really cost you a lot of money, like the EIN, that's free. If you already have a space in your home that you want to use for your work area or whatever, you could do that. You know, there's things that you can do to transition. But when you're trying to do the major things like buying equipment or supplies and all of that, it's going to come down to your personal cash flow and your personal credit. So it's the same thing. It's just no different than saying my goal is buying a house. If my goal is starting a business, we're going to talk about the same things.
Definitely. I tell real estate agents, the first part that no one tells you is the fees that we have to come up with to just get going.
Right. The paperwork. So
they pass the test and they're like, wait a minute, I don't have a lockbox.
Yes.
Nope. I don't have access to all the houses. Nope, that's another fee. And Maryland comes for their money.
I'm sure
they come for their money regularly. It's not a game. So it's and then it becomes a frustrating process to continue the ball to roll, to continue to take care of all those fees that come along with the business aspect of it.
Absolutely.
I will say it's super easy to jump in, but once you're in, it's a commitment, and you're trying to keep up with that commitment, because every meeting we have, we're like, oh, this fee is due this time. Just a reminder, hey, in December we're going to turn around and do this again. So you better get your ducks in a row. So that aspect of the business is super. And let's not even start about car magnets, banners, and business cards, and and now I want my tags to have this on it. You know, and I wear T-shirts everywhere. Everybody knows my T-shirts. So it's like all of it is part of this transition that we have to make, and understand that needing this money for this business is the thing. But it is great when we have these amazing creative ideas, and we can start from, like you said, using space in your own home to get it going.
Absolutely.
And social media is our friend right now.
Yes, you can get a Facebook page for free. At least they can find you, see what's going on, what you have to offer, behind the scenes footage. You know, get them involved.
Yeah. It can definitely. I mean, I think my inspiration. My friend just happened to meet the Furlough sisters that do the cheesecakes.
Oh yeah.
And now they're buying a space, and they're done left their jobs, and because this thing has taken off.
I saw, wow.
But it was an idea. It was a passion that started from something. But we are at the end of our time.
Oh,
Miss Constance. Yes, we are. I told you we didn't take much, but you killed it today.
Oh, well, thank you. Look, my phone died and I had to come back in. I'm glad I was.
That's okay.
Find my charger.
You were giving great content. I think everybody should be excited that we kicked off Financial Literacy Month this way with you giving us all the tips and tools to do the different aspects of our lives that most of us are dealing with, whether it's buying a home, whether it's getting ready for retirement, or whether it's starting our own businesses. I appreciate you for jumping in. And if you could get everybody your contact information so people can know where to find you. This will be going to YouTube and blogging and all that fun stuff that I do. So.
Oh, nice. Thank you. So I'm constantly on social media. My family is like, you put your phone down. I'm working. So I'm on Facebook. My business page is at C. Craig Mason TA. So that's T as in Tom, A as in Apple. And I am also on Instagram as official C. Craig Mason. My website is www.tan, that's TAN, connects with an S.com/C. Craig Mason. And I wanted to touch real quick, if I may. I talked about the workshops that I do. So quickly, I have one coming up this month in April for Financial Literacy Month. It's called Who's on Your Financial Dream Team? And if you go on Eventbrite, you can literally type that in, who's on your financial dream team. And the one for personal will come up. So it's a panelist full of, other financial professionals who are there to educate and answer all of your questions about anything related to your personal finance, everything from banking to like you know, purchasing a home, we'll have real estate agent, loan officer. We're going to have a personal banker there. For our business one that is coming up in July, it's literally 2 tickets left. I'm not kidding. I put it on Eventbrite in January after we did the last one. And I opened it up for, I want to say 55 seats in January. And it's 2 tickets left. I'm so excited.
Wow.
And so that's the same name, Who's on Your Financial Dream Team Business Owners Edition. So you'll go on there, there'll be at least 2 tickets left until somebody grabs those. But I love doing that because you're able to get so many people in the room at the same time, especially the ones with the business owners, because we have a whole bunch of panelists, slightly different. So we have business coach, business attorney, CPA, you know, all of these people here, liability insurance agents, all of this stuff. And then you have a bunch of business owners in the audience. So they're able to mingle with each other and mingle with the panelists.
It's always good to network.
The energy is amazing in these rooms, okay? So we've got that going on April and July. And then when I do my one-on-one coaching, I actually bring out these little cute workbooks. And I do financial coaching awesome. For free, okay? So this one talks about how to get out of debt, okay? It's really cute, color coordinated, easy to understand. This one talks about how to improve your credit. And then this one talks about how to strategize, budget, cash flow, that kind of thing. So I work one-on-one with my clients to help them get through that. And then whatever goals they have, like we talked about, purchasing a home, starting a business, you know, expanding for some reason, it's very easy to write it in those books. And then we can help you to be accountable for those goals. And if there's people that you need to connect to, then we're resourceful. We can refer you out. If you want to do investments or if you want to purchase a home, like we can refer you out once we see that you're serious about what you're trying to do. So I'm very excited about Financial Literacy Month. It is definitely a time to learn, network, see what you've been doing ineffectively and start doing it effectively.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for coming in. Everyone is shouting out great praises for this information that you provided today. I've got so many entrepreneurs and just so many amazing people around me right now that are doing so many awesome things in the community and their businesses, and they're growing and they're creating multiple streams of income.
Absolutely.
So they would love to hear from people like you. But thank you so much, Constance. You have an amazing evening. Thank everybody for tuning in tonight.
Thank you.
See you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.